Welcome. I'm Chris Cassee.
And I'm Larry Kegwin. Thanks for joining us. This is the first episode of Happy Hour, and Happy Hour is a new video series that is sponsored by ArtDesk magazine. It's really to support and benefit the Green Box Arts Festival. So let's hear a little bit more about Green Box.
Well, the Green Box Arts Festival is held annually here in beautiful Green Mountain Falls. I know many of our viewers are curious about where Green Mountain Falls is. Well, actually, Green Mountain Falls is just west of Colorado Springs in the foothills of Pikes Peak.
And for you urbanites, it's just an hour and a half south of Denver, so there's no excuse why you shouldn't be visiting.
Exactly. Green Box encourages participation in the creative arts. The core components of the festival are dance, music, and installation art. In the following episodes, we'll touch on all of these elements. The festival attracts more than 1,000 people each summer who participate in classes, hikes, performances, art classes for youth and adults. Anyone wanting to learn more about Green Box can simply go to greenboxarts.org.
And we'll also be sharing our contact information, our social media handles, and that of all the artists that we talk about, the places that we talk about, and the organizations that we mentioned. So we really hope that you follow along, do some research, and enjoy the ride.
ArtDesk, I have a copy of it right here, is a quarterly publication devoted to contemporary art, performance, and thought. I am the publisher, Louisa McCune is the editor, and Larry is the dance editor.
Oh, but I like to think of myself as the editor at large. Is it editor at large or in large? Whatever, large and in charge.
I should say so. Anyway, ArtDesk focuses on regional and national art events, exhibitions, and education. It's also the support publication for the Oklahoma Contemporary Art Center in Oklahoma City and Green Box Arts Festival. I'd love for all of our listeners to subscribe so we can continue to share the exciting world of contemporary art with you. It's easy to subscribe by going to readartdesk.com, just clicking on the subscribe button, and boom, you're a subscriber. So now, Larry, now that everyone knows who we are and what we're doing, let's talk a little bit about art.
You know what, but before we talk about art, let's go get a beverage. It's happy hour.
What a great idea.
Yeah, let's
do it. Oh, God, did just blow my back.
All right, so here we are, my favorite part. Time to make the drinks. What are you going to have, Chris?
Well, Larry, you know I gave up drinking hard liquor a few years ago for Lent, and it stuck. But I've been enjoying and having fun with wine. So today, I thought I would introduce our viewers to one of my favorite rosés, Whispering Angel. Now, I know it's from Provence. Now, I know that it's about the gayest sounding name of wine that you could possibly imagine, but it's super refreshing and very, very nice for summer. Light to medium in body, with medium acidity and a nice nose of wildflowers and citrus fruits. The pros, they give it an 8.8. If anyone's interested, I've added a little bit of information at the end of our credits at the end of this episode. What are you having?
Well, I'm going to keep it really simple. So what I'd like to do is a tequila on the rocks. You know, this is real tricky. To start, I thought I'd just get an attractive glass. You probably have one at home. And then this is really difficult. I'm going to get some ice. Well, maybe not that cube. You can feel free to use your hands. No one else is watching, right? So I'll just do that. And then very, very fancy, I'll get the tequila.
Oh, do you want this? I got this at Walmart. It's cheap.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'll
What is
stick
that
with
one?
the Patron, right? And so you just gently, ever so gently, just pour that in. Hear the crackling, right? And this is where it starts to get real tricky. Lime. I picked this up at Safeway, but you go to any supermarket in your area. Here we go. I'm going to cut that. Be careful, you know. We don't want to go to the hospital. I like my wedge to be rather large. I squeeze it, you know, natural lime juice. Voila. And when serving your guests, I like a decorative, fun napkin. Cheers.
Cheers. Well, where is Pard? Pard is the installation artist for the 2020 Green Box Arts Festival. Where's Pard?
Well, you know, I think he lives around here, so let me go check. I'll be right back, yeah? Hold on to this.
Okay.
So I just yelled for Pard. I hope he'll join us soon.
Well, I hope he hears you. I mean, after all, Pard is the installation artist for the Greenbox Arts Festival this year. If he doesn't show up in a few minutes, what we could do is we could run his slideshow. What do you think about that?
That's a great idea.
We'll
Cheers!
do it. Cheers.
Pard Morrison is an American artist born in 1975. He was born in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and received his BFA in sculpture from Colorado State University. Pard has had solo exhibitions in Santa Fe, San Francisco, New Orleans, and Denver. His work is in the collections of the United States Embassy in the Netherlands, the Lannan Foundation, the Colorado Springs Fine Arts Center, and in the collection of the artist Agnes Martin. For the Greenbox Arts Festival in 2020, Pard is sharing a work titled Heartmouth from 2018. It's fired pigment on aluminum. According to the artist, Heartmouth was created to convey that we are always stronger together. And if you're going to open your mouth, it better come from your heart. This is a beautiful sentiment for today's time. Let's look at some of his previous work. Here is a work that's located in a pond at the Denver Botanical Garden. And here yet another one. Pard says, I'm interested in exploring the intersection between two-dimensional pictorial illusion and sculpture. This work is installed on the Colorado State University campus where Pard earned his BFA in sculpture. This work, Warp and Weft from 2019, also fired pigment on aluminum. For this new body of work from 2019, Pard stated that he was enjoying working the grid versus the block of color. In the catalog for the show at the Charlotte Jackson Fine Art Gallery, Pard says, there are two forces at work in life, the fundamental characteristics of who we are and the aspects of ourselves which are malleable. Life, chance, circumstances, opportunity, disaster. This work, titled Soul's Universe, is from 2012. The soul in Soul's Universe comes from Saul Perlmutter, the 2011 Nobel Prize winner in physics. In 1998, he stated that the expansion of the universe was not slowing down due to gravity, but accelerating. While influenced by many minimalist artists, like Donald Judd, Pard avoids the impersonal feeling minimalism sometimes evokes by infusing his work with love, beauty, and meaning. Pard credits other influences such as Agnes Martin and Andrew with the same dichotomy.
Well, that was great, right?
Terrific, actually. I'm so thrilled that Pard is part of this year's festival.
I am
He's
too.
such a great guy.
I know.
Where in the hell is Pard?
I don't know. Pard, where the heck is he?
Hey guys,
Oh my gosh, Pard.
Thank you for finally joining us. What can I get you to drink?
I'll have what he's having.
Great. I'll fix that up. And Pard, we'll see you on the back porch.
You can use the cheap stuff, he won't know.
That's a good idea. All right, let's go. Pard, welcome. This is our first happy hour.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for being our first guest.
It's a pleasure to be here in Green Mountain Falls.
So, speaking of Green Mountain Falls, have you ever been here before?
Of course, I live right down the road.
Really?
Yeah, born and raised
In Colorado Springs, right?
Colorado Springs. I was
Great.
born in Lyman, but live in Colorado Springs.
And for our listeners, our viewing audience, what is it about Green Mountain Falls that you love?
Well, it's a beautiful natural setting at the foot of Pikes Peak, which is easily escapable from our thriving metropolis of Colorado Springs. And it's just a natural experience that we come up to enjoy.
Great.
Could you put this over there for me?
Sure.
Pard, we really need to get down to brass tacks. There have been a number of inquiries from our viewers, some female, a few not, wanting to know, Pard, if you're single.
It depends who's asking, but yeah, I'm not single. I've been married for 19 years. So we're just
Good
gonna
old
have to,
family man.
a family man. We're just gonna have to let that be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you
That's
very
wonderful.
much. Anniversary's
And Larry
next
and
week.
I are both family men as well.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Have you met our pugs?
Yeah.
Our children? Before we get into the art, tell us about your first name. It seems unusual.
Well, I grew up in a big ranching family from Colorado, and there's a 10 and 11 year split between my sisters and I, me being the baby. And when I came along, my dad said, I finally have a little partner. I was born Robert Morrison on my birth certificate, but I went by Pard ever since then. And if somebody said Robert on the street, I wouldn't even turn my head.
So it was a nickname that became a name.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Tell us about like the early work.
Well, after grad school, I was primarily working in steel and wood, and there was a lot of iconography and text-based work, and that all dissipated completely after 9/11. It was really a transformative aspect of my career in terms of straying very far away and heading into the abstract, and trying to get away from any kind of preconceived connotation, and more experiential artwork.
Great.
But Part, I'm not going to continue down the line of questioning dealing with your personal life. I'm sure you'll be relieved to know that we're going to switch gears and tell us a little bit about your process, what it is that inspires you, so that you come up with new ideas for work. Share. Do you mind?
No, not at all. For the past, I would say 15 years or so, I've been developing this process of coating metal structures. It's an industrial process where, everything is fabricated. I'm working in aluminum now. Everything is primarily MIG welded out of 3/16 plate aluminum. And then once the forms are realized, then it's a firing process where each color is hand applied and fired in industrial ovens, similar to glazing ceramics individually. So I can't, I can fire all the reds at once or all the greens at once, but I can't fire multiple colors at the same time because I'll get color contamination with them.
Let me ask you a question, though, just as a follow-up to that. Does the name Donald Judd mean anything to you?
Of course.
Would he be an inspiration?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think where I vary from Donald Judd's philosophy and getting into Agnes Martin and Truett's philosophy is this, the sterility of his kind of philosophy and kind of, the height of minimalism, and what you would see is what you would get in his work. And that was all he was trying to portray. Agnes Martin and Anne Truitt would bring very emotive qualities into their minimalist works. And that is something that I hold near and dear to my work.
I like that. Thank you.
So you consider those artists, Anne Truitt, Donald Judd, of the minimalist movement, correct?
I consider Donald Judd absolutely of the minimalist movement. I consider Anne Truitt, there's been debate whether Agnes Martin is a minimalist. She always said that she was an ab-ex, but everybody classifies her paintings into a minimalist kind of genre.
Yeah. And what do you see the heyday in terms of the timeline? What dates are we?
Of course, Judd was working, from the 50s up and, through the 70s. And then Agnes Martin, of course, worked until, early 2000s. But, spending time with Agnes Martin was a major influence on my work and my philosophy, because it really, really provided me a solid footing of, yes, you can create work about love and beauty, and have this visual vocabulary of minimalism, but kind of allude to these very unminimalist emotive qualities.
You mentioned a giant oven too, right? So can you talk about the scale of your work, how small and large it becomes, and also what other mediums? Are you only working in sculpture?
Sure. The scale of my aluminum work goes all the way down to 6 inches by 6 inches by 6 inches. And then the commission that I completed for the American Embassy in The Hague was 30 feet tall. So anywhere between there, I could go bigger probably than 30 feet tall. But we'd have to come up with a solution for the firing process.
And did I hear that the work in Green Mountain Falls is about 10 feet tall?
10 feet tall.
Oh,
Yes.
I can't wait to
Correct.
see it.
Yeah.
And do you work outside of sculpture, like oil on canvas, any other mediums?
I do. For my last show in Santa Fe, I started working on works on canvas, on linen, and that was some paintings, what people conceive as traditional painting, and works on paper. I've worked in bronze and wood before as well.
Actually, I should have known that because we first came into your artwork. First, we were introduced to your artwork in Santa Fe at this gallery. I think it's Charlotte Jackson Fine Art Gallery.
Correct.
And I think there were some canvases in that
It's
show.
large-scale canvases.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We like Santa Fe. We go out there for the opera in the summer, so fun. But Larry loves to go looking at the art galleries there. And the art galleries in Santa Fe have artwork that's uniquely American. And when we came across your artwork, we thought it was so terrific to have an artist who's actually from Colorado Springs,
Yeah.
Right.
who's showing outside of Colorado Springs and who's not only nationally but internationally recognized. So we're so happy you're here. Part, I wanted to ask you, in 2015, the installation artist at Green Box Arts Festival was Brooklyn, New York-based artist Spencer Finch. I see some similarities. Do you see any comparisons between your work and his?
I absolutely do. It's funny because my family and I came up to the pantry for breakfast one morning, which is in Green Mountain Falls, and we took the right turn off of the main street. And before me was Spencer Finch's piece. I forget the exact title, something Back to Kansas.
Back to Kansas.
And it was this geometric, abstract piece full of color. And my wife turned to me and said, "Isn't that amazing?" And I said, "It's totally amazing." Our kids were like, "That's just like your work, Dad." So it was so refreshing. And of course, I knew Spencer Finch's work. It was so refreshing to see it up here in Green Mountain Falls.
And could you tell us a little bit about the work that we'll be showing here in Green Mountain Falls?
Yeah, it's a totemic piece, a vertical totemic piece that is a multi-boxed, multicolored stacked sculpture.
In what other ways or how do people describe your work?
Well, generally, I get this a lot from children, and they nail it right off the bat. They're like Legos or video games, or they totally love the color. Which to me, they hit the nail right on the head, which is amazing because a lot of people struggle with simplicity and minimalism. They kind of think, of course, is that it? And it really can be just that it.
Let's think of beyond Green Box. Let's break the walls of the box down. Where else has your artwork been seen? And do you have any favorites?
Well, I'm represented nationally in the United States. I've done, I've been commissioned for the American Embassy in The Hague for a large scale commission. There's work in China, in Macau, China. There's international installations.
And I know we were speaking behind the scenes, and I thought it was really interesting that you had mentioned that some of those installations you had not seen or you didn't go for the installation. And
True.
So tell me what that's like.
In terms of, it's kind of refreshing in a sense because I spent so long and I'm so invested in the creation of the piece that once the piece is out of the door and it's in somebody else's hands, it's really refreshing. I also think it'd be refreshing to see the piece installed with fresh eyes too.
When you remember Andy Warhol's famous quotation, "When is artwork finished? When the check clears."
Oh, right.
One of my favorite quotations of all time. Sort of last question. I wanted to ask you how you feel about being an installation artist in Green Mountain Falls.
I'm excited to be here. In fact, when in the early days of my studio process, I worked at an open air studio at our ranch out east of Colorado Springs. And I didn't have any white walls to document my work or, beautiful lighting or an elaborate photo production place. I photographed all of my work outdoors in very rural settings. And it kind of became a calling card for my sculptures. I totally loved the juxtaposition of these seemingly mass-produced, industrially produced sculptures in a natural setting. And when I was invited by you all to come and join the Green Box project, I just thought it was an amazing, another amazing experience to have this piece in a natural setting. It was just right up my alley.
Yeah. So sometimes there's opportunities in disguise, and we learned that we were anticipating one new work, and then something happened. Can you share?
Oh, you mean in terms
you.
of
Your injury?
Yeah. During the creation of what we were assuming was going to be the installation piece for Green Box, I had a mountain bike accident and severed my clavicle, which resulted in a plate and 7 screws.
No.
So had to jump ship and utilize a different freestanding piece for Green Box.
Well, don't share any more about that because I get very queasy. It has been so nice having you join us today.
It's been a pleasure.
A real pleasure for
Thank-
us too. Oh my God, the pleasure's been all ours.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you don't mind. At the end of the credits, we're going to put all the information on how to get in contact with you for people who want to learn more about your artwork and might want to reach out to you.
And I'm not your agent, but I know you're taking commissions. So.
Of course, always.
Yeah.
Why not? I think that's
As
a good
working
idea.
artist, I always take commissions.
Oh, good.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And viewers, don't forget, next week we have another ArtDesk conversation with artist Chad Mount. Chad is a projection artist, and ladies, he is single, and I know he'll look forward to having your comments and your participation in next week's ArtDesk conversation. Also, I want to remind everyone to please support your local artists
and be kind to animals.
Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time.
Happy Hour with Chris and Larry, Scene 2, Take 3.
Hi, I'm Chris Cassie.
And I'm Larry Kegwin. And we'd like to welcome you to the first ever series.
Still rolling. Action.
Hi, I'm Christmas Tree. Oh, I'm sorry. Hi.
That is sponsored by ArtDesk Publications. And there's a plane flying overhead. Here we are in Colorado Springs.
Ow! So anyway, let's see now. Pard is the installation artist. Am I supposed to keep going?
That's when you might toss it to me. What are you having, Larry?
Oh, I'm supposed to ask it to you?
We're having a
Oh, I'm
conversation.
so sorry. Okay, so all right. So